often I use for system tracking resources like CPU utilization, memory utilization, and about my rules and responsibilities. So I have developed several API in this project, and I have written unit test cases as well. That is all about me. Thank you.
Okay. Can you share your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Is it visible for you?
It's loading. Yeah, now I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So can you open any online Java compiler?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have the framework logs.
Mm-hmm.
So in that one, we have the some errors.
Okay.
So I need to identify the top 10 errors from those logs using Streams API.
Top 10 logs. Okay.
Top 10 API error
Well,
logs.
okay, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Can you write the program?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is working. Hello.
Yeah, Harsha. Give me a minute.
Sorry.
Content. Okay. So how do you make the hash map as a thread safe?
HasMap with the help of like concurrent HasMap we can use, and we can use synchronized also, collection dot synchronized. With the help of we can do it.
Okay. So without using the concurrent hash map, can you write the program, make the
Uh,
hash map as a thread safe?
yeah, so collection dot synchronized with the help of we can.
Okay.
Okay, so can I write code for this?
Yeah, not required.
Okay.
So how the hash map internally works with, for suppose if you have the duplicate keys,
Mm-hmm.
so how it will be handled?
Yeah, so HashSet internally use HashMap. So we can say like with the help of hashing technique has a hashcode method. So with the help of it, find the bucket number. So there are two methods, like one is a hashcode method and second one is a equal method. So first check a hashcode method. So with the help of it find bucket number, and check with the help of equal, it check the key, it is equal or not. If a key are equals, so then key are equal, and we can say uh, hashcode is also condition is true, so then it means it is duplicate.
Yeah, so for suppose you are telling it like a key is a duplicate, right? How hash map will understand the, whether the key is duplicate or not? On what basis it will generate the hash code?
Yeah, so like suppose we have a two object, p1 p2 object,
Mm.
and like p1 has like uh, key 1 comma a value, and like p2 object has p2 and 1 key is 1 and value is b. So we can say like when hashmap hashing technique has one method, hashcode method. So with the help of it find the bucket for P1 and P2 also. So it will be equal because keys are same here. And we can say like with the help of equal, when we compare both the content, P1 equals P2. So that time keys are same, like 1 1. So that time it is like same, equal or equal written true. So we can say like both condition are true. It means it is duplicated.
Okay. So what is the difference between a map and a flat map?
So map we can say like it used for transforming the data. It
No,
bulk.
so I'm talking about the in streams related dot map versus dot flat map.
Yeah, so like in stream API, like a map used from transform each element into like another element, and a flat map we can say like it used for like when each element produce multiple values, and we want to like flatten them into a single stream.
So what are the Spring Bean scopes?
Spring Bean scope. Spring Bean scope, it means like how many objects Spring create and how long they will live. It is called Spring Bean scope. So it is many types, like singleton. It is by default provided. So we can say like most of the time we use like when we want only one instance per Spring container. That time we use singleton, and prototype. So like a prototype, it create new instance every time when we can say like bean is requested. That every time it will create beans, and request also. So like one instance per http request create, and session is also there. So session one instance per create per http session, and one more also application. So like one instance per whole the application we can say.
So how do you handle the transactions in Spring Boot?
Transactions. So with so some design pattern are there. So with the help of like Saga design pattern, so with the help of we can do it. So like the Saga design pattern, we can say like it is a sequence of local transaction. If any transaction fail, then compensation transaction occur. So with the help of we can do it.
Okay, but we have the in Spring Boot at the rate transactional, right?
Yeah, that one annotation is
So,
also. Hmm.
yeah. So for suppose I have the one transaction, so it needs to go to the reader instances only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how can I design that one?
So that time, um, we can say like if we need like send from data to another service, so like we design like simple yeah, UI forms, so like validate inputs, and then call that we can say like target services through the REST API using service layer in Spring Boot. So like they are first like we can say front end form is there, so like we can say like some fields name, email ID, like that. So for, and after that like we validate inputs, and after that we come like controller layer.
No. So for suppose I am asking the at the rate
Hello, your voice is stuck. Hello. 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 Hello.
yeah, hi.
Yeah, sorry, I think my side is network problem, so that's why I disconnected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So for the transactional, when you have the propagation, so right, rollback.
mhm. So
Uh, yeah, tell me more.
yeah, so propagation it means like we can say like how transaction behaves. So when like one transaction method called another transaction method, that time we require like we can say join existing transaction, and that time we use like at the rate transaction annotation, and inside this annotation we define like propagation equals to like propagation dot required, like this, and request, like that.
Okay. So how would you implement the global exception handling in REST APIs?
Yeah, so with the help of like we create one global exception handling class. So they are like we annotated at the rate controller advice and at the rate exception handler. So like so with the help of we can handle all the exception in one place and return we can say like consistent error responses with the help of this. So we create one global exception handler. So inside it like annotated at the rate controller advice and at the rate exception handler. So inside it like we can pass we can say handles all the exception. We have to pass exception class inside it, and we can create custom exception
Okay.
also. So this class can extend runtime exception, and inside this class we create one constructor, and inside this we pass any message whatever we want to give, and there we call super constructor.
Okay. So how would you validate the requested bodies in Spring Boot? Like for suppose we have the API version 1 and API version 2.
Hmm.
So there will be the two different payloads. It will be calling the same controller only. So
Mhm.
how would you validate the request bodies in this scenario?
So in this case we can validate with the help of url versioning. With the help of we can do it. Suppose like we have a and like we can create separate dto per version we can say. So like for we create one class for b1 request, and another class create dto for b2 request. So with the help of
But if you go with this one, we need to provide the compatibility of V1, right? If you are developing the V2 feature, so that it should be compatibility with V1. If you are creating as a two different DTOs, it will be the problem, right?
no, we can say like uh, if we completely like separate V1 and V2, so we can say like break backward compatibility. So like we can say like backward compatibility like while designing V2. So like we make sure that like V1 continue to work without any changes, instead of like treating them like as completely separate. So I design a v2 as a extension of v1.
Yeah. So in this scenario, so there will be the one column added on the DB. It is a mandatory field.
Hmm.
So that is not there in the V1. So how do you handle this one?
So
Understand, right?
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So like we can say like v1 does not send new field we can say, but v2 require new field. That one is mandatory, right?
Right.
And we can say like in db like we create new column added like with not null. So with the
No.
help of
So with the not null only, you are getting as a that field name is null from the V1.
mm-hmm.
But it is a not null field, right? You are getting the payload in the null value.
Mm-hmm. So if like field is null for older client we can say v1. So like handle it by designing a uh, default value, or we can say like handling it uh, we can say conditionally in the service layer, while we can say enforcing like strict validation only for v2.
Okay. Okay. So how would you implement the circuit break pattern?
Yeah, so circuit breaker design pattern we can say we use for fault tolerance. So like suppose we have a two service A and B, so that time service B, we are calling any API from A service microservice to B microservice. So that time maybe second one microservice is shut down because of some reason. So we have to add one dependency, resilience 4G dependency inside the pom.xml file, and we have to enable circuit breaker in main class. And after that we create one method, fallback method, and where we are calling that one API. That one method we annotated at the rate circuit breaker, and inside circuit breaker, like we call fallback method, so we can give any message inside it, whatever we want to give.
Okay. So in this circuit break pattern, so for suppose if I need to give you the custom timeout one, so how do you implement that one?
Hmm.
So for suppose certain time, so certain retries, it need to throw the error, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you implement that one?
So we can say like like if we need a custom behavior in circuit breaker, so like we have to configure resilience 4G with custom settings. We can say implement a custom fallback method or event listener based on business needs, we can say.
Sorry, can you repeat it once again? So
Yeah, so like if we need like custom behavior in circuit breaker, so like we can configure
mhm.
resilience 4G with the custom settings, and we implement a custom.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell me the what are the settings we need to do that? So
So,
custom settings is fine. Can you
hmm,
tell me the keys about that one? So
okay. So like inside the application dot property file, we have to configure some fields. So like we can say uh, sliding window, and like threshold we define, and like threshold we define like we can say threshold we define like 50. So like if 50% of call fail, then circuit open, like that. And sliding window also we use like a number of calls to evaluate, and wait duration open state also we use, not not all the fields I remember, but these kind fields we use.
okay. So did you work on Apache Kafka?
Yes, yes, I have worked on Apache Kafka also.
Yeah. So for the observability point of view, so how would you ensure exactly one processing for the log events?
So, so like from like a logging perspective, uh, we can say like firstly like to like ensure exactly once processing of log event, and I use idempotency and a unique identifier and controller we can say mechanism like a Kafka with proper acknowledgement and partitioning.
Okay. So how you will be sending the data from Spring Boot to the Kafka? Can you tell me the full process? How you need to implement?
Yeah, so like in a Spring Boot we can use like uh, asynchronous communication also we use Kafka. So there like we create one Kafka template. So Kafka template has a dot send method. So there we can give like we can send the messages on that topic, and with the help of Kafka listener we can listen the messages, consume the messages, we can say.
Okay. So what is meant by producer factory in Kafka?
Producer factory, we can say Producer factory. We can say like it is Spring Kafka is responsible for like creating Kafka producer instances. So we can say like it manage and configuration of a producer used by like Kafka template.
Okay. Did you work on any AWS applications deployment?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So for suppose I have the jar file only, I need to deploy it on the AWS cloud environment. How can I
Mhm.
do that one?
Yes, I can. So, like, with the help of Elastic Beanstalk, we can do it. So, like, we can say, like, we have to upload a jar file, and like, we have to. There are some options are there, like we have to platform, we have to choose like Java 8, and yeah, see it automatically like create a EC2 instance, load balancing automatically, it manage and automatically deploy, and it give us like a public URL for us. So with the help of, we can check it is successfully deployment or not.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, is it visible?
It's loading. Yeah. Now I can see it.
Hmm.
Can you write the SQL query for finding the duplicate emails?
Duplicate
I need the duplicate emails.
emails.
Yes. Yes. So I have a users table. In that one, I need to find out the how many emails are duplicated for those users.
Okay.
Can you write the SQL query?
Mm-hmm. So here I can write. Yeah, it will work.
Okay. So without using the count, is there any other approaches?
So like without count. So without count, yeah, I can like we can use for this self join. With the help of also we can do it.
Can I write the
Yeah.
query?
Yes. So
So I am asking the duplicate emails, right? If you're using the it will be unique emails only, right?
Hmm, disconnect. So, so like we can say like I joined the table with itself. We can say so like it matches same emails, and like we can say like it ensure like IDs are different. It means these are duplicate. And we can say like I am using a distinct keyword because like it avoid repeating emails, so that's why I'm using.
Okay. Is this query correct? Because you are using the A.id and B.id as well. So,
Yeah, according to me, yeah, it is correct.
okay. Yeah. Okay, Varsha. My interview is done. Let you know the feedback.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.